Good day, good day, good days. They said we starting. How you doing? Good day, good day, good day, everybody. Hey, thank you for joining me on this wonderful Wednesday. What's the name of our program? Winning in Wealth.
Wisdom Wednesdays. You got it.
See, Winning in Wealth, Wisdom Wednesday. It is once again. I'm joined by the lovely Shateka. Shateka, thank you for being back. And basically, I'm kind of excited. I'm excited about that title. I'm saying the sixth step of financial, I'm saying right now, like getting ready for the future. I'm very, very excited about that because once again, that's what it's all about, man. How good do it feel when you can go somewhere and you can apply yourself and you can go in the store and you don't have to worry about penny pinching. You can get what you really want. You can get what you feel that you deserve, that you work for. How could that feel? It's like to me,
Absolutely.
you know that feel to me? If
Yes,
I
I
can
know.
if I can go somewhere and do what I want to do whenever I want to do it, that feels sexy.
All right now. Got a little confidence going on.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah. So I know if you're watching a replay or you watching live, you ready for us to just jump into it because I know that's what one of the people's pet peeves are. Just get to it. So we're going to jump right into it. We're going to kind of start off with the first one. So we talked about the 6 steps of financial freedom. And the reason why we're talking about these, let me just quickly introduce myself because I can't assume that everybody know who I am. My name is Shateka Husser, CEO of Husser Financial Solutions, where we help you retire before you expire. So that's you. We're the ones you hire. Our goal is to get your bank account on fire with a whole lot of lifetime tax-free retirement income that you will not outlive. But we know that that is one of the greatest fears people have besides death is running out of money. And so our goal is to make sure that you do not run out of money. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about, just some steps really quick. We're going to, be brief and out of the way because we don't want to be long. We just want to be strong. And so we're going to start off at number 1 of 6. And number 1 is going to, of course, be cash flow. Real simple, real basic, not to insult your intelligence, but we got to figure a way to get greater cash flow, right? So, earning additional income some kind of way, but also managing your expenses so that you can keep what you have. Everybody has a little what we call side hustle today. And if nobody knows, I definitely know. At the age of 8 years old, that was one of the things I started doing, was doing my little side hustle as a latchkey child, right? And just learning how to make money to help my mom, who happened to be a single parent of 3 at the time. And so I know and understand humble beginnings. And, no matter who you are, where you are, I want you to be encouraged tonight because no matter what your financial situation is, you can change it. You have the power and the authority to get wealth. Everything that you need is already locked up on the inside of you to get wealth. All we sometimes have to do is amplify our voice, open up our mouth, and watch how you make money, right? Leaders make money. Speakers make money. Those are the 2 highest paid individuals around, to be honest with you. And so that's why you have a lot of people that are doing like these MLMs. They can speak well, right? They can market well. And so everything that you need is really on the inside of you. You just have to tap in, have the confidence. I know this is the beginning of a new year. And so we want to start strong. We want to make sure that we're looking at ourselves and what it is that we can do differently this year. Because if you keep doing the same thing that you did before and expecting a different result, who said it? Albert Einstein himself said that is insanity. And so how do you get more cash flow? What are you going to do different this year is the question, right? How are you going to increase that cash flow? And we just have a little dialogue. We don't believe in monologues. So certainly, type in some comments if you have questions or whatever comments. But the goal really is to see, there's all types of money out here to be made. No one should be struggling in 2022 because besides the online, there's just too many ways to make money today, right? Let's just name a few of them. Like we often hear people talk about real estate. Certainly one of the ways that I was able to help myself with an additional cash flow, I was still in corporate as a W-2 employee. I took, some 401k and turned it into a solo 401k and started really beginning to do some things with it, right? From a position that I didn't was no longer in. So that's one way, of course. If you have a skill, many of you do, just tap in, especially if you are already in some type of role on your job. What are you doing on your job as a leader, possibly, or even someone that's indirect leader? You may not have the position, but you have the smarts and the intelligence. How could you go and turn that into a course, an ebook, or something of that nature. There's so many different ways, like I said, that you can make money, and it's really about tapping in. Now, cash flow can be more than just you creating something, but it can also be just your ability to invest. Maybe it's your ability to start learning how to trade. We hear a lot of people talking about trading today. It is a tough skill. Not a lot of people are successful at it, to be honest, but the people that are, they are like killing it. So who knows unless you try, right? You'll never know unless you try. So what is it that you possibly could try? If you're a good cook, could you package some meals up and sell them? What could you do? So there's you're gonna have to have some time to just meditate, think about it if you haven't already, and just kind of figure out how can you increase your cash flow. That's what we're talking about right now. So I want to see if there's any comments, any questions. Good evening, Cool Breeze, and just kind of see how we could really get into this and talk about that. So that's the number one. And I want to pause here, Brian, to see if you have any comments before we move on to number two. I don't want to do
like I say, I like what you're saying, because once again, that's what it's all about, man. Hustling. All men and women rich in their own thoughts and ideals, but it's up to them to put it into effect, man. What the sense of you have knowledge and talent, if you're not utilizing it, you know what you're doing? You shortchanging yourself. So
absolutely. So we definitely want to dig in, tap in, see how we can do that. Now, emergency fund, everybody, emergency fund is something that a lot of people do not have, to be honest. If something was to happen, the average person doesn't have $500 to $1,000. So how can you stack your money so that you can have money for emergencies, so that you don't have to go get a loan that's going to cost you a lot more with interest, or have to tap into some credit, right? That's going to cost you a lot of interest. The goal is to be able to use your own money that's interest free and fee free, so that you can be able to tackle a tire blowout or whatever the case may be, right? So emergency funds, the goal is to really try to have, as much as possible, even your monthly amounts that you currently have. What is that? And then do you have at least 6 months of that, just in case something's to happen to you with your employment or your business? Do you have 6 months to be able to live off of? Anything could happen, disability, a lot of different things. But emergency fund, how are you going to be able to make sure that you have 3 to 6 months of income saved up, and really preparing for those unexpected expenses? So again, I want to always pause, because I know that this is the Brian Glaze Gibbs show, and I don't want to take over. I just want to add. So I always want to pause and let BGG say what he do.
You know what? Even when you sit back and you think about the emergency fund, I think that's huge, because once again, life going to happen each and every day. And a lot of times we cannot be prepared for the unexpected. But the difference is teaching people understanding the importance of saving, sacrifice, wants from need. And that's the difference, because at the end of the day, whereas right now, like you say, you got to go take a loan. But the bottom line is saying right now, you're not even positioned, or your credit score is not high enough for a person to feel that you're worthy of a loan. Then guess what? You're double in trouble. So I love that. I love that. And I love this topic, because even right now, as we talking, I'm listening at like the 6th step myself as we talking about it. So give me a better understanding. How do I feel about it, and how do I want to add to that? But no, I'm yielding the floor to you, Queen.
Absolutely. So, payday loans are not the way to go. They are like 100% more in terms of whatever it is that you borrow. It's like literally they're going to make 50 to 150% off of you just by, getting a payday loan, any these types of high loans out here, because they know you really need the money. Mm-hmm. The loans today, there's a lot of loan sharks out there, and there's all this paperwork, and it's have all this writing in there, and they're going to try to get as much as they can out of you, up to the statutory limitations, right? So want to make sure that you understand that. If you're not following along, definitely can go to my IG page, Shateka Husser. I actually have these posted, so you can actually do the recap that way, or follow along, ask your questions ahead, however you want to do that if you're here. But we just talked about, if you're just tuning in, number one, cash flow of the 6 steps. Number 2, we talked about emergency fund. And then number 3, we're going to talk about a little bit about debt management. A lot of people, it's an epidemic. How do I pay off this debt? There's all these different types of methodologies and strategies out here to pay off debt. But the biggest thing is that you want to eliminate your debt and not consolidate your debt, because consolidating your debt is really kind of a Band-Aid. It does give you some breathing room, but it's really not going to be the solution. The solution is to say, how can I pay this debt off? What is my strategy? How am I going to do this in a certain amount of time, right? So you've probably heard of the snowball. You probably heard of the avalanche. Those are the top two most popular strategies out there. You know, the snowball is more of a confidence builder, but not necessarily the most effective way to pay off your debt. Why? Because you're just paying off the smallest, no matter what the interest is on that loan. You're paying off the, or I say that debt. You know, the smallest debt that you have, you're going to pay that off regardless of what the interest rate is. So let's say you have a $50 loan and then you have a $1,000 loan. What a $50 loan is going to be, say, an interest rate of 10%. But the $100,000 loan, or I should say $1,000 loan, is going to be more like 50%, right? So would you pay the 50% interest on a $1,000 loan, or would you pay, and this is probably big, let's just go for $500 loan, and it's 10%. Which one would you want to pay off faster and why? So it's really about that individual. Somebody might say, well, I'd rather pay off the $500 loan because it's smaller and it make me feel like I'm accomplishing something. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to feel confident. That's the average person. They want to pay off the smaller loan regardless of what the interest rate is. And that's important because you're paying back more money with a 50% interest on a loan versus a 10% interest on a loan. So what the person that understands debt will do is say, I'd rather do the avalanche because I want to pay off the highest interest loan first, regardless of the amount. I don't care about confidence and feeling good and accomplishing and closing out a loan. My goal is just to pay off the highest debt. So I don't, so it doesn't take me as long to pay the debts off collectively. So they would want to do the avalanche method, which means that it's not going to be the snowball where it's going to be small, 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 and getting larger, larger, larger in terms of what I'm paying off. But I'd rather just pay off the highest interest so that collectively I'll pay off more debt because it's going to be less interest that I'm paying over time. Does that make sense? Or did I confuse you? Or is it clear?
It makes sense to me.
Makes sense to you, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody out there? Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, Mixtape Swagger. And yeah, Mixtape Swagger, absolutely. So the goal really is to understand how we can eliminate, that's the key word, eliminate and not what? Consolidate debt. Okay. There's a lot of debt agencies out here that are calling people and they're saying, oh, you can do this, you can do that. But if you dig deep into the fine print and you ask the clarifying questions, you'll find that you'll still be paying a lot of debt, but it's really going to be a consolidation, which is going to make it better for you in terms of having something close out for your credit. But overall, it's not going to be the solution. And also, you're going to be paying all these fees to these debt credit counseling agencies. There's a lot of money that they charge you, although it's presenting to you a solution. So do you need them or not is the question. Consolidation to make your credit look better, but you pay more in fees because you're consolidating. Kind of like a home. You have all this equity built up in your home. You're going to eat away at the equity in your home because you're going to refinance it to pull out money so that you can use when there's all these fees for refinancing. So do you want, is this about you and what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what it is that's your goal? Understanding what your goal is, the average person will say, that's okay. I'll just, chip away at the high interest. So I don't pay you all this extra money to consolidate it. That's going to, over time, if I'm disciplined, allow me to be able to pay off the debt sooner than later without your help. Thanks, but no thanks. That's what the person that really understands the fine print and begins to ask those questions, like how much more am I going to have to pay to consolidate? That's what they're doing. So, yeah. So hi, Gullah. Yeah, thank you. All right. So any other comments on that, Brian, on debt management before we move on to number 4?
You know what? You hit on a key word, discipline. And that's what people do not have to, that's what we have to understand. Because once again, it's that word. Whereas you're right, you got people come to you, act like they want to help you, act like they can do this, they can do that. But yet and still, what they doing is literally getting you more into debt.
That's right.
So that's it. You got to be disciplined. You got to, once again, read the fine print, because a lot of times people got all the little, they got a lot of things hidden in the words. And if you don't take the time and break it down, guess what? You're stuck. Now you just dig yourself a bigger hole, but it sound good. The presentation sound great, but is it really helping you?
That's right. That's right. Well, I love it. I'm trying to see if there's any comments or questions out here. Definitely want to make sure that we're trying to tackle them as much as possible. But we're going to
I see something about why I said it's hard to put money away and literally forget about it until you need it, but it's a way to go, especially in this pandemic and emergency.
Oh yes, yes. Why said? I hope I'm saying that correctly. It is. It can listen. Don't tell yourself it's hard. Tell yourself it's easy. Just say it's easy. I don't care how hard it may seem. I believe, and my military background says, fake it till you make it, so to speak, right? It says false evidence turns into real evidence right before your real eyes. So you start speaking a thing into existence, you speaking life or you speaking death into your situation, right? So I like to speak life and say stuff like, even though it's hard, like it's easy for me to put away money, right? It's easy for me to put aside just a few more dollars, because if I can just sacrifice and discipline myself not to eat lunch every day or dinner every day or every weekend, cut down on my entertainment, cut down on my spending of a lot of different things that we splurge on, rather it be your coffee. For some of you, get some B12, just buy some of that. But, or whatever it is, whatever your vice, we all have them, right? But how can I curtail my appetite for what it is that I really desire, that's extra, that I don't need? You'll know whether you really need it or not when you can walk away and not have to, purchase something and say, I did good by that. Like I didn't need the extra pair of shoes. I have 5 black pairs of shoes. I have 5 black dresses. I don't need a 7th one, right? Or a 10th one, right? So that discipline that he talked about is like a curse word for most people. But if you're trying to become financially free, why stay a slave to your desires when you can free yourself and begin to put away a little extra couple dollars, having goals, right? I think that a lot of us, we lack goals. Like, what's your goal to be able to save every week, right? Or every month? What is that goal that you have? How are you going to attack it differently this year so that you can become financially free faster? The whole reason why we want to become financially free because we want to retire. The reason why people can't retire because they're so far into debt. So if I can get you out of debt, I can get you to retire sooner, live your best life, move out of your career into your calling. That's what we're talking about tonight. So what questions are out there? Comments? We want a dialogue, not monologue. Any other comments? All right. Well, we're going to move right into number, drum roll, 4. So let's talk about proper protection. Proper protection against, the loss of your income or even your family assets, right? So anything can happen. If you're a spouse, right? You're a husband or a wife, something happens to you, your income is gone. How are you going to protect that for your spouse, your other half, and your children, right? So how are they going to be able to live without your income? So we want to be able to protect that. And the way that people protect that is through their life insurance policy. Actually, everything that I've said so far and everything that I'm going to say, in case you're not going to tune in for the rest, is going to be the bottom line common denominator on all 6 steps to financial freedom. Drum roll. Is going to be life insurance. So we're not there. So the goal is for you to understand that there's 6 steps to financial freedom, and there's no other financial vehicle out here that has all of these components as one for all 6 steps. There's no other. If you look at stocks, you look at real estate, you look at crypto, you look at trading, none of those have all 6 of these common denominators, 6 steps to financial freedom rolled up on the inside of them. So just understand that. And so proper protection is one, right? So if your husband was to pass away today, God forbid, or wife, what's going to happen different, right? What's going to happen that's going to be to you in terms of your income? So let's just ask that question, because you're going to lose that year of income, but how many more years of income will you lose? And that is how they determine what that policy, that's part of the equation, not the whole comprehensive amount in terms of the death benefit, but that's part of that. Because if they were to pass away, how many years would you still have? And I know some of you out there single say, I don't have nobody, so who cares? But at the end of the day, you may have nieces, nephew, godchildren, a charity, those types of things. But the goal is to understand that how you're going to protect your income. Proper protection that's what that means. What is it? What kind of proper protection against loss of income, even if you have a disability? There are some policies out there that's going to help you with that as well. So any questions, comments there before we move on to number 5?
No.
All right, perfect. So number five. Somebody put a number 5 on there. We're almost done. We have 2 more to go. Number 5 is going to be build wealth, right? So how do you build wealth? If your money is inside of a bank account, like the majority of your money is in a bank account, bless you. That's not good because it's not outpacing inflation. So what is inflation? It really is, how much everything is costing us today versus tomorrow, and how much more is going to cost, right? That's inflation. That's the increase in the amount of money you're going to spend for goods and services over the next week, month, year, whatever the case may be. So just make sure that you understand that, if your money in the bank is only making 0.05%, then you want to, and inflation is 5.8%, then you already losing money, right? If your money's sitting inside the bank account, how are you going to make your money that's sitting in the bank account stay at least with the same pace as inflation? So understand what today's inflation is, and how can you at least stay in pace with that? So if it's 5.8, if it's 6, whatever it is your money at least making that? So how are you going to build wealth if you are in the negative because you're not at least making what inflation is today? I'm going to pause right there and let you digest that. I don't want to talk too fast. That really needs to sink in. I'm going to say that one more time. How are you going to make sure that your money is going to make at least an amount of the inflation today? Like, what is inflation? What does that look like percentage wise? And can you make that with your money? How can you, quadruple your money, or 5x your money, or whatever the case may be? How can you do that? So 5%, 5.8%, you're not making it out of your bank account. So how are you going to make that so that you can at least stay in pace? Or else you're becoming poorer and poorer the more you let your money sit in the bank. You're becoming poorer. Okay, that's where the wealth gap is. That's why the wealthy are getting wealthier, the poor are getting poorer, because they have their money probably in a bank account, or they have their money in, they have their money in a bank account, or they may not necessarily want to do that. Hold on one second. Can you take me off real quick?
There you go.
I apologize.
Let me see. Okay. Hey, listen, everybody. Even right now on Gullah Vision, you ask a question: term life or whole life? What's the difference? The difference is right now with term life. Term life, you're gonna have, like saying you got a policy of 5 years, or you got a policy of 10 years or 20 years. The difference is you're paying monthly for insurance that right now in 5 or 10 or 20 years, that policy in. Once that policy in, guess what? You got to start all over. Like with a whole life insurance policy, you pay money into that policy that is almost like what she called an investment tool. So when you talk about the investment tool, to me, that's huge.
I'm back. All right. Thank you.
So basically, somebody was asking me about what's the difference between a whole life and a term life.
Okay, so a whole life policy is going to be a permanent policy. And so it's going to be for your entire life, where a term policy is only going to be for a temporary amount of time. It's going to expire. And oh, by the way, when you do renew it, it's going to be higher because you're going to be older and possibly you're going to be more ill. So as they begin to take, note in terms of medical, that your medical may be different. So if you're not as healthy as you once were and you're older, it's going to be at a higher cost, right? So that's the concern with the term. So it's only a temporary basis. Permanent is going to come with a whole lot of bells and whistles and benefits. It's going to be more expensive, but at least you'll have access to, if something is to happen to your money, the cash value that builds up in your permanent policy. They cannot take that away. They can take away any employer plan money that you have. They can take away the money that you have in a bank account. If you get a lawsuit, they can take away everything except for the money that's inside your life insurance policy. That's why the wealthy stash their money there for the most part, even when they go bankrupt and all these other things. They begin to put their money inside policies. Policies is one of the places where there's money laundering because you can hide money there. And it's also tax-free income growth, right? So term is not going to allow you to have cash value build up. They have some new ones that's coming out, but they're not going to be nowhere near what you can, in terms of cash value build up, make inside of a permanent policy. So that's important to understand. I like to say that with term is more of a donation to the financial, to the insurance company, because there's only a 2% payout on term policy. Everybody will almost outlive their term policy. There's only a 2% payout. So 98% of people are losing money in a term policy. Although it is, for most people, the better option because it's less expensive. They get a lot more death benefit for term. It is going to expire. So those are the pros and cons with the term. The permanent does have some other benefits that I haven't mentioned as well, i.e., you can put your money in that and not ever lose money, right? In a permanent policy, where if you put it in, say, stocks or other types of volatile type financial vehicles, you could lose money in those. But it does have sometimes a lower growth, but you can at least understand that it is going to grow, right? You have some policies that are going to be tied to, depending on, you saying a whole life, that's one type, or you can have what's called IUL, you have the VUL, in other words, an index universal life or variable universal life. Those are different types of permanent policies. So whole life is just one type of permanent policy. Depending on the type of permanent policy you have will determine how well it grows in the market. All right. So you can have your term, you got your IUL, your VUL, you have your whole life. And so when you look at those different types, depending on what they are, will determine how well they grow. Rather it's growing, with the S&P market, or it's growing in the stock market. Those things are going to determine, how well it grows, right? So that's important to understand with the actual permanent policies. The other thing is that you can have medical benefits covered with the permanent policy, where you're not going to have that with a term, right? So let's say you have heart attack, cancer, stroke, dementia, Alzheimer's, long-term care plan, any type of disability. Those things will not be covered with the term policy. And so that's the reason why people get permanent. They say, oh, is it more expensive? But they don't understand that, you go to a nursing home for dementia or whatever the case may be, your children don't have to dig into their pockets because you have a whole life policy, right? Or even your aging parents, you don't have to dig in your pockets because you have an aging parent that's now covered because you have the right type of policy. So not have to go bankrupt, because 69% of bankruptcies are caused by medical challenges. And so here's another whole thing with emergency fund. The wealthy go to their bank account. They become their insurance policy, and they become the bank of their money because they have that cash value building up in that. And that's where they go to pull out their emergency fund. They do not go to the credit card and to the lender. They are the lender. The Bible says that we can be the lender and not the borrower. And that's what they're doing, the wealthy people. So those are some of the things that the permanent policy does versus what the actual term policy does. And the list just keeps going on and on. I can go on and on about some of the things that people are doing. People are using it for their businesses, to fund their businesses. People are using it to fund weddings, to fund their children's education. Instead of using the 529 plan, they're actually using the policy for a lot of great reasons, i.e. the child don't even want to go to college later on in life. Or, if they want to use the FAFSA grant, FAFSA recognizes 529, they will give you less grant money, but they don't know what you have in your policy, so they can't give you less grant money. I mean, there's a lot of little reasons we can go into, but people absolutely use that permanent policy for all types of reasons. But great question. I'm sorry I wanted to be as thorough as possible because I can keep going, but I'm going to stop right there so we can keep moving on. But any other questions?
Why Sid and T Rivers asks, which policy do you recommend?
Oh, it depends on the individual's goal, vision, and budget. So if you're someone that want to retire and that's your goal for your policy, then people are primarily using an IUL for retirement. If you're someone that's looking to just leave a legacy for your children, then you can use, a whole life or an IUL policy to be able to leave that death benefit for your children, right? Some people, they're looking for aggressive growth. They want to try to use, say, the VUL, the variable universal life, right? But that has risks. So that's the one policy you will lose money in, is a variable universal life. So I don't recommend that one if you are risk adverse. But there are people out there because they want high growth. They want to go with the variable. The variable and the whole life are primarily going to be tied again to the stock market. The IUL is primarily going to be tied to the S&P 500, although it's not participating. In other words, they're not using your money to in the S&P 500 market, but it does parallel the performance of the S&P 500. If that makes sense. So great question there. All right. So any other questions that I'm missing, Brian?
I don't see any at this present time.
All right, y'all asking some great questions tonight. I like it. All right, so again, we talked about number one, cash flow. Just to do a quick recap. Number two, we talked about was emergency fund. 3 was debt management. 4 was proper protection. And then we just talked about building wealth and outpacing our money with inflation, and making sure that you have professional money management, right? So just to understand the difference, a financial advisor is going to be someone that's going to help you manage your money primarily. Those types of people are out there. And then you have, say, a financial planner, which they're just going to primarily educate you. I'm a financial planner, educate you, and then also try to make sure that they have a comprehensive look at everything that you have going on to be able to give you the proper consulting so that you understand. No one should be telling you what you need to do with your money unless they understand totally what you have in terms of all of your liabilities, all of your debt, everything that you owe, whether it's the taxes, the whatever, and then all of your assets, right? Like, what all do you own? Do you have any real estate? Do you have a boat? What do you have? What kind of money do you have, right? Where is it at? Is it in a 401k? Is it in an employer plan? What stocks, crypto? What kind of money do you have? You have it in gold? So unless they have your total financial picture to help you make a comprehensive decision, they should not be really giving you any type of recommendations. You should be asking questions about, how they need to be doing a needs analysis. It's called a needs analysis. And that form gives them a comprehensive look at what you have, but also what is your goal in the future? What is it that you want to do in the future in order to, have your money working for you, right? Or how do you want to utilize your money? So if somebody asks a question, which policy, depending on what you want to do, depending on your vision and your budget, right? Because some people can't afford an IUL. Let me be clear. It's not for everybody. Okay, because if you can't fund an IUL, it's going to be your worst nightmare. Let's be real clear. All right. So, and the other thing I didn't mention about the IUL and the whole life, let me say that real quick. The IUL does not have a guaranteed death benefit. What guarantees the death benefit in an IUL is your ability to fund it properly. Okay. And people are funding that thing up to what's called the MEC limit so that they can put as much money as they can in it so that it can grow tax free. That's why a lot of business owners primarily use it, and people that have money. You don't have to be rich, but you just got to be someone that can put money into it consistently over a period of time. Now, the whole life is guaranteed death benefit. Okay. The IUL also has flexibility. So let's say you can't pay your premiums. You fall into hard times. You literally can have an IUL for years after that because you've paid into it so much that the actual cash value is paying the premiums in that policy. So that's the great thing about the flexibility of the IUL as well. So there's a lot of little pros and cons. I'm just kind of like glossing through it because that's not really the main point of today. But I'm just reminded those are some key points, because as we're talking about which one is the better one for me, what should I do? We never want to give financial advice over here because we don't know your financial picture. Okay. We're giving a blanket statement. This is not to be confused with financial advice by no means. Okay. Let me put that disclaimer out there. All right. So you guys don't come for me, but what you need to understand is that we need to know what is your vision? What are you trying to do long term? And then what do you have in terms of your liabilities? What is the money that you owe? And what do you have as assets? And then we put all that together and we help you come up with a plan based on what you have and what your desire is. This is the best tool to get you to where you're trying to go, based on what you have, your budget. Look, there's a budget for everything, for every type of financial vehicle out there, right? It's tailored to your budget. So that's what's important to understand.
You know what?
Most people don't know their budget. So you have to figure out how much extra money do I have to put away each month to reach the vision, the goal that I have for my finances, right? Yes, Mr. BGG.
You know what? Dash came on and Dash said, instead of leaving money in the back, you was going to get into something before you took that quick break. Before he said, instead of leaving money in the bank, you was about to get into something before you took that quick break.
Yeah, okay. Leaving the money in the bank is what I was saying, is that if your money is in the bank, it's not outpacing inflation. You're losing money, right? That's why people say you're getting poorer and poorer when your money is in the bank and you're not doing anything with it. You want to make sure that your money is making money for you while you sleep, because unless you figure a way for your money to make money for you while you're sleeping, you are going to be working for money all the days of your life, according to Warren Buffett, the billionaire himself, right? So the bank is like the last place people have their money. And the best banks that you want to have your money in is an online bank, because they usually have greater interest that they pay, but they're still not going to outpace inflation. Like you can get like 2%, things like that. Definitely not going to be a little tiny 0.005% that you get with a regular bank. But the online banks, the great thing about having your money in an online bank is if you're not disciplined, it's harder for you to get your money in your hands, right? Because it's an online bank. There's a lot of great ones out there, but they usually give you more money than the regular day-to-day bank that you're going to drive up to, like the BOAs, the Bank of Americas, and things of that nature. So, yeah, I hope I answered your question, but because he said I was going to say something. Yeah, I was distracted by some background things going on, so I do apologize for that. But definitely want to make sure that we understand that we got to figure a strategy to get greater cash flow with our money, right? So people are doing a lot of different things out here, like crypto, because they believe in Bitcoin. And you know, the ATMs are everywhere. We got Bitcoin ATMs. You got banks that's in Bitcoin. You have merchants that they'll take Bitcoin payments all over the world. And so it's just becoming a greater form of payment. And so it's on Cash App. You can purchase it there. So people are using that because they know that Bitcoin is going to go up, even though it's been taking these. It's been on like a roller coaster ride a little bit, but people believe in Bitcoin, your Ethereum, and a lot of the other coins that are out there, Polkadot. You know, they believe in all these different ones that's out there. So they're putting their money in those because it's a way of the future in terms of how payments are being received. PayPal, you know, the list goes on. I can go on and on about who's all receiving Bitcoin, but it's the way of the future in terms of payments. And so that's why people are going there, because literally, if you just let your money just sit, or even if you did what's called dollar cost averages and just put a little bit of money every day, if I say, oh, it's far gone, it's already there or whatever, but it's going to be going higher every year. We understand based on trends, based on trend analysis. If you understand how trend analysis work, you know that it's going to end up going back up, but it's just a matter of time. So that's what people do. But again, this is not financial advice, but this is what people are doing to make sure that their money's making money for them while they're sleeping. And so I often tell people you cannot invest or put your money into, you know, spaces where it can be so risky that you're not going to be solid in terms of your retirement plan, because that's not wisdom. You should have, you know, a certain amount of money in your retirement account that's stabilized, right? Versus risky, very risky type, you know, Bitcoin and crypto, those are risky, right? We know that they're going to go up and down, especially if you're someone that watching the market every day. You're going to stroke yourself out. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is the money that you can afford to lose, put those types of funds inside, say stock market, crypto, things that are risky. You know, if you can afford to lose it, but don't be looking at it every single day, because it's going to go up and down. It's going to go up and down. So you want to have the long-term gain and the risky ones that we know that's going to go up, and then the shorter-term gain on things like trading. If you're a trader, right? You know, if you somebody that wants to make money every single day, you need to be a trader, but you need to be in a demo account somewhere, you know, learning how to do it properly without your real money first. After you've had about 99 successful trades, and then you put your real money in there. That's just my advice. Okay. But yeah, let's just move on. So we talked about all 5, and now we're on the very last one. Any other questions that I missed? I know, right? Did I miss any others?
Not that. You know what? The person who owned the major hip hop labels and the person selling the jewelry to the rappers are from the same ethnicity, and we wonder why these rappers are broke. Just a comment.
Very good comment. And we're going to actually talk about that in one of the lives. Okay. We're going to talk about this in one of the lives, because there's quite a few individuals that have left and they did not have the proper estate planning in place, and they didn't leave anything to a lot of superstars out here. Okay. You have to have an estate planning attorney. We're talking about wealth here. So that's a great point to bring out. We're talking about wealth. You have to make sure, especially generational wealth. How are you going to leave generational wealth and you don't even have an estate plan? And people think that wills is it. They can go online and do the will online, or they can go online and do the trust online themselves. You need an estate planning attorney, and they need to be doing what they're doing. They need to be vetted out properly, because that's what some of these superstars thought they had, and they didn't have the proper estate planning attorney, right? And everybody needs one. Everybody needs a trust, because if you don't, the state's going to do what they want to do with your money. Because guess what? Half of your wills are not right. 99% of your wills are not right. First of all, they're not even going to be valid because you got it off of these legal things off the online. Those
Leave
things
it
don't work.
alone.
They don't work. Too many horror stories. Too many horror stories. And that's all I'm going to say about it. You need an estate. Go ahead and start penny pinching your wealth, your generational wealth. Go ahead and pay the money, the $1,500, whatever you got to do. You pay that for a lot of other things. You get your income taxes, get you an estate planning attorney, be done with it, have peace of mind that your children are going to be okay, your family's going to be okay, because you know that the person that you've hired is going to make sure the documents are correct so that the state doesn't take all the taxes and eat away at everything that you worked hard all your life for, and your family don't get anything. And you wonder why things stay in probate forever, because in probate, everybody has to go to probate. I don't care who you are. You the Pope, you're going to probate, okay? Everybody has to go to probate. I don't care who you are. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are. You're going to go to probate, okay? And they're going to take taxes. People say one thing you're going to bet your life on is you're going to pay taxes and you're going to die. So how much taxes are you going to pay? You need to what? What did we say last week?
What did we say last week?
You remember what we said? We said you are going to what? Control everything.
Okay.
But you're going to own nothing.
You're right.
Who's going to own it?
Hey, those that left him. The
trust.
government.
The trust is going to own it so that you don't have to pay taxes. So that here's the deal. Taxes are going to be the termite to your wealth when you die. If you don't have that trust properly done by an estate planning attorney. Just understand everything that you work hard all your life and slaved over, it is going away if you do not have the proper paperwork, because the state is going to take it away. Okay? You have to have a trust. Forget about the will. You need a will and a trust. But guess what? The trust is going to be the thing that's going to help you with the taxes, which is going to give you the what? Wealth that you need. So a financial planner will be able to help you better understand it. And the details, those of you that do not have one, you need to find you a good financial planner and or estate planning attorney and or insurance broker. Okay. You need those types of things. People in your life, on your team, on your wealth team. You need a good CPA, a good tax professional to help you with your taxes so you can get more money back. You know, we're talking about building wealth. You got to do these things. If you don't have the wealth team in place, you don't have a tax person, you don't have these other people, you don't have a team to help you build wealth. You have to have it. You don't know what you're doing with money. You know, it takes people years to learn how to do money right. Years. So think about it. We didn't go to school. They didn't teach us how to do that in high school and in elementary, not even college, right? So you have to get that wealth team in place, a good team in place to help you build the wealth. So we're talking about building wealth, and we're going to move on to the last one.
Hold up.
Excuse me.
There's a few things. I see one comment. T River wants to know, can you tell me about IRA? And then I see something else in regards to, do you have a training platform you can recommend? And oh my gracious God, this is nothing but the glory of God herself. I just left a message for you, Brian, on a video I just finished watching 5 minutes ago. I sent an email for that message. So even right now, as I'm seeing a lot of times and a lot of things where people want to interact, and right now, give folks information that they can get in contact with you, say offline, so you can give them your undivided attention to, because just like right now was as far as people saying about financial planning, you have helped me in so many different ways by our off the camera conversation, whereas coach me, counsel me, training me, like it's a lot of things people think they know or think they understand, but you don't know. And I'm like Scooby-Doo. If I don't know something, I'm gonna be just like this, but I want to know. So to me, you give me the opportunity to break it down to me as if I was a 2-year-old so I can make the right decision. And I want them to have that same opportunity to listen and understand as you share and help them be where they need to be at in life.
Very good question and comment. Yeah, so Shateka Husser is going across the scroll at the bottom from the right to the left. It says Shateka.com. If you go there, you could actually book a consultation. The one that you want to book is going to be the TFRA. All right. Or the fastest way to get to me is just to text BTFRA. That's the fastest way. And then I will get in contact with you. I am traveling tomorrow, but aside from that, pretty open, right? So definitely get with me. I'm here to help as much as I can. Um, you know, it's complimentary. I'm putting together some stuff so that I can help the masses to help learn this stuff, because it's a lot out here. If you get on my email list, I'm actually giving sending that out to my VIPs on my email list, information as well that's coming out, like a lot of different little tips like what I'm putting out on here. I'm actually already sending that out on my email, so as you get into that, you'll be in the queue to get some good emails from me. That's another way to help coach you, give you information that you need, valuable information in your email, because you're getting a lot of emails probably already, but we want to make sure that we are staying consistent and true to our goal this year of building wealth, becoming financially free, moving into the right space of retirement. Most people don't look at retirement until it's too late and they don't have enough money to put away and they're going to continue to work. So it's just those types of things. Do you have a 5-year retirement plan? If you don't, 10-year retirement plan. If you don't, I am someone that you can talk to, about that. But the goal really is to get you in a position to be able to understand what you need to do moving forward, so you can, at the beginning of the year, start putting away the money or doing what you need to do in terms of the discipline that we talked about earlier, because most people don't have it. And so that is a good question, but there were some other questions that we may have missed. So please retype them if we missed your other question before we get off of here, because we are about to get off. Trader training. Okay. Yeah. I do have one. And I don't want to say it out on this air, like this, because it's like, I can give you the information. I can send you, there's a YouTube that I did on that, actually, that I can send you that information and kind of show you where one that you can go with as a recommendation. I'm not going to just say it out loud over here, because I don't want people to start, everybody got their own opinion based on how they did inside the platform. Not everybody won, but a lot of people did, you know what I mean? So I just want to make sure that if you want to get me offline, you can just, go ahead and, text that number and just say, I'm the one that asked about the trading platform and I want to know more information, and I can send you some information on that. All right. So that's how we'll handle that one. Any other ones, right? Any others?
Is a 403
a 403 a good investment? It's an employer plan, right? So employer plans, employer plans are
anything with the fours.
I
learned that one from you. Anything with the fours.
Yeah, 401k, 403b, 457, the fours. The rich people, wealthy, they're not putting their money in anything start with a 4, because they're going to pay taxes. The goal is to not pay taxes as much as possible, right? You want to play to the way that the rich people pay, right? You don't want to pay just like your president didn't pay 45, and some others, Amazon, all these different billionaire business owners, they're not paying tax, right? So they're putting their money in certain things that's going to help them. An employer plan that starts with a 4, you are going to pay taxes, right? How do you build retirement accounts paying taxes? How do you build retirement accounts paying all these fees that you guys are probably don't know about, which is 30 to 50% higher in a 401k plan, for example? You could go to the Department of Labor handbook, and it'll tell you about all the fees in the 401k. And, so those two things are going to be like termites to your retirement accounts. And so you want to make sure that you're in something that's not going to have high fees, taxes. So isn't it good? If you want to pay taxes, it's good. Okay. Just to answer your question. So, is it a good investment? Somebody may argue that that's what they want to do. They want to be in a 403 for whatever reason. I'm just saying that look at the fees, look at the taxes, and compare that to something like an index universal life and what you're going to pay in that versus paying in a 403b. So the handbook guide I told you about, the Department of Labor, is going to give you those fees. So that's a great place to start. I also have that as well for people that's on my VIP. I send that out to them as well. But you need to understand fees, because that is the reason why people run out of money in their early 70s and have to go back to work as a greeter somewhere. 70s, 80s, people are greeting because they ran out of money. 97% of people don't have enough money, and they end up going back to work. They end up going back to work because the money ran out because the taxes they had to pay on the money and the fees caused it to run out sooner. So those two things is what's going to either way. Again, and I keep saying it because I want you to get this, right? Because somebody, it went over their head. That's why I say things twice sometimes on here, not because I have to mention, but I want to make sure you got it. Okay. So, all right. What questions? What other questions are out there? Some good questions out here.
We covered the IRA, individual retirement account.
Yeah, so the IRA, individual retirement, yeah, very good. That's one of the employer plans we talked about. Anything that starts with a 4, an IRA, a TSP for the military and the government employees, all of those are employer plans. All employer plans are going to pay taxes. All employer plans are going to have fees. The IUL has fees. What you want to see is how much, where can I put my money at that's going to have the least amount of fees, and with all of the benefits that the Index Universal Life gives you. I named them before. I'll quickly name them again. Protection against lawsuits, protections against market volatility. In other words, when the market goes up, you participate, your money participates in the market. When the market loses, your money does not participate. Okay. You also get medical benefits. Chronic, critical, terminal illness, chronic injury. 69% of bankruptcies are caused by people in retirement. They didn't plan to have a heart attack, cancer, stroke, dementia. They didn't plan that. But because they had the proper policy, they can tap into that and do what's called living benefits. You don't have to worry about the money going to the beneficiary, the money going to you, because you can use living benefits to accelerate your death benefit while you're living to pay off those medical expenses so that you're not going into debt in retirement to pay for those things. So if I ask you if your employer plan comes with those, you're going to tell me, no, my employer plan doesn't come with medical benefits. My employer plan doesn't come with protection against lawsuit. My employer plan does not come with protection against market volatility and market risk. It doesn't come with that. Okay. My employer plan is not going to give me a death benefit to leave to my next generation. All right. Or my charity that I want to give to if I'm single. Okay. My employer plan is not going to have lifetime tax-free retirement income that you will not outlive. It's not going to come with that. But an IUL does. So that's why the wealthy and the people that are educated and informed are moving to the IUL. They want lifetime income. They want to be able to structure their own Social Security. We talked about that last week, and I saw the comment somebody made last week. Yes, Social Security is no money, but you can get your own. You can make your own Social Security by putting away the proper amount of money and understanding what that's going to look like. If you start late, and you're not making any money, it's not going to be really good for you. If you start at a younger age, the younger you start, the more money you can put away. The time is what makes the money more than anything, right? But all hope is not lost. You can still put your money inside. And especially if you have, say, a lump sum of money already somewhere, you can put that in what's called an annuity. And that annuity can turn into that Social Security that we're talking about. Social Security is an annuity. Let me be clear. Social Security is an annuity. It's just funded by the government. You can create your own annuity where you fund it because you got a lump sum of money somewhere and you want to have lifetime income in retirement. You could turn it into an annuity. And oh, by the way, depending where state you are in, you can get anywhere between a 7 to 10% bump on whatever money you roll over. It's called a rollover, 401k rollover, or just a money roll. Wherever your money is at, you roll it over into an annuity. You can actually get a 7 to 10% increase on whatever that amount is. If that's $100,000, you get $10,000 if you get a 10%, just to get easy math. So I hope I answered that question. But the IRA is individual ready account, as he mentioned, is definitely one of the retirement employer plans that's out there. And so you can actually turn it into what's called a Roth IRA, to where you go ahead and pay taxes now, bite the bullet now, because we know that taxes are going to go up in the future, and you rather pay taxes at the lower amount now than waiting till later and it eating away at that higher rate. So people are turning their IRAs into Roth IRAs, making sure that it grows tax-free from that point on. People want tax-free income in retirement. They don't want to be paying for taxes in retirement, especially knowing that we were at one of the lowest tax rates in history. And the highest it's ever been has been 94%. Okay. And if it ever gets back to that, That's a lot of money to pay in taxes. So people are going on ahead and just rolling stuff into the Roth IRA, paying the taxes now, biting a bullet. People are getting out of these 401ks. They're moving into the IUL because they realize that although they may have a tiny, employer match, it does not outpace the amount of taxes they're going to have to pay. Because if the employer is only matching them at 3% and they're in a 17% tax bracket, that's 14% that they're going to sacrifice to pay when they could have had tax-free growth, right? So the goal is to get tax-free growth for most people. So if that's not your goal, then that won't work for you. It depends on what your goals are. What other questions out there?
Okay, so is Roth IRA is better?
It's tax-free growth. So the IRA you're going to pay taxes on, but the Roth is you already going to pay the tax on it, so that as it grows in the future, you don't pay any more taxes. You're done paying taxes on that. So that's the reason why people are doing it. All right, so good questions. We're at the last one of the 6 steps to financial freedom, and this last one is kind of what we talked about already. Preserve wealth. Preserve wealth is number 6. So how are you going to preserve your wealth? We talked about the estate planning attorney. We talked about the trust and all that, and making sure that proper paperwork is in place so that the state doesn't take all your money. If you're going to build wealth and you're going to leave an inheritance for your children's children, then you're going to make sure that you have the proper paperwork and not something that you went online and fill out yourself. Because it's not going to work. If superstars can use that stuff and it don't work for them, it's definitely not going to work for you. All right, so let's make sure that we have a properly licensed, estate planning attorney handling your paperwork. I am not an estate planning attorney. I am not a CPA. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm none of those things. But my team of people, right, that we know, my wealth team, they are all on my wealth team because I understand how important they are, and you have to understand how important they are. You need to have a wealth team that consists of all these people. I am a financial planner. I am an insurance broker, but I am not a tax professional, and I am not an estate planning attorney. But there is a list, especially since we are primarily speaking to African Americans. I don't know what your percentage, Brian, of African Americans is watching this, but we have a list of estate planning attorneys that are African American that's able to help us in that space. If you want to use an African American estate planning attorney, there's a list of them floating around. So not necessarily that you have to have an African American, but I know some people are pro African American, and so if you are, there is a list of those individuals out for estate planning attorneys. But the goal is that they need to be somebody that's competent. And I'm gonna say this because not all of them are. They need to be somebody that's competent in how to help you own what? Nothing, and you're gonna understand why. But control everything like the wealthy do. You own nothing, but you control everything because your trust owns everything so that you don't pay the taxes. That's how they get around paying taxes. That's how they get away from paying taxes. Their trust does not pay taxes, and everything is owned by the trust. And that's it, pretty much. That's what they're doing, right? That's what the wealthy are doing, right? So again, not financial advice. I'm just letting you know this is what the wealthy people are doing. All right, so that is preserving a wealth. That's how they're doing it. But let's look at that again. So reducing your taxes and building a family legacy is how you're going to preserve your wealth. That's the last one. That's number 6. And we're right at an hour. So want to see what questions we missed right now. Right now, type your question. Want to make sure. And if we can't get that answer tonight, we'll make sure we get it the next broadcast because I only answer questions that I know, but want to make sure we answer your questions.
Mike Harris, you asked, Glaze, do you have any investment or did you make any investment when you was running the street? Right now is I have a few investment that I'm into now. When I was running the street, yeah, like you say, it's like the investment that I had into jewelry, into, property that was not in my name. So it's a lot of things that you do, but you don't quite understand what you're doing because once again, when you are blessed, I'm not going to even call it blessed. When you get something ill-gotten, it will, guess what? It don't last. So to me, like now that I'm getting different things, I got a better understanding, and I am blessed and highly favored. I make wise decision with every nickels and dimes that I get at this present time.
Yeah. Good question. Yeah, so just text that number. That's my cell. You can text that number. 678-736-6496 is scrolling across the screen. And if you're interested in a retirement plan, you definitely want to text the word, or I should say the letters BTFRA, what it stands for. That lets me know that you were here. I want to make sure that we take special care of you and prioritize you. If you were someone that watched this broadcast, but the TFRA is for, tax-free retirement account. People want that, a tax-free retirement. I specialize. That's what my specialty is. You want to know what I specialize in? Tax-free retirement accounts. That's primarily what I do. Okay. And I also do life insurance. I am also a life insurance broker. All right. And a financial planner helping you to understand what some of the best things are for you based on your assets, liabilities, and vision. Okay. Because life insurance doesn't work for everybody, but it works for a lot of people. And everything we talked about tonight, everything, all 6 steps of financial freedom. And I say this all the time and everywhere I go, seminars, different things. The common denominator for all 6 steps to financial freedom is life insurance. Okay. I'm not even biased about that. You look at the cash flow, life insurance is going to give you cash flow, right? Look at the emergency fund. Life insurance is going to allow you to have an emergency fund, right? You look at your debt management. If you have debt, right, you can pay off some debt. You can literally, everything that you hear people saying about, oh, I can help you pay your debt off in 7 years or 9 years, no matter what it is, they're using a life insurance product to do it, to pay off all your debt. They're using life insurance. They also are looking at it for protection. We talked about protection tonight. Life insurance. Why? Because the lawsuits, they can take everything else you own, but they cannot take your life insurance product, right? We talked about, building wealth, life insurance. We talked about preserving your wealth, life insurance. All 6 steps is life insurance. So no matter where you go, understand that all 6 steps of financial independence is going to be a life insurance product, all 6 steps. And stocks don't do it, real estate don't do it, crypto don't do it, trading don't do it. It don't have all 6 steps. In other words, it may have some, but it's not going to have all 6. All right. So that's all I have for tonight. I'm really excited to have everyone here. I want to see if there's any other questions. I don't have a topic for next week, Brian, so we're gonna have to think about it because
trust me, you will.
I want to talk about estate planning a little bit.
Okay.
Next week, because too many superstars have been dying and not leaving anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the paperwork that wasn't right. And again, although I'm not an estate planning attorney, I can speak on a topic just to kind of educate, bring awareness, but with a disclaimer that I'm not a estate planning attorney, but you didn't understand, irrevocable trust, why they have them, what did it mean to own everything, and not own everything, but control everything. People are losing their identity, losing their social security, and putting everything underneath. When I say lose it, because they're putting everything underneath the trust. They're getting a trust, and they're putting all their money in the trust, so that when something happens, their children don't have to pay all these probate taxes and lose everything that they worked hard for over their entire lifetime. So that's why people are getting trust, and the trust owns everything. They own nothing. I don't care how rich they are. And I know somebody that's in a 3-digit millionaire, okay? And they own nothing. The trust owns everything. So we want to make sure that we have our money in the right position to be able to retire before you expire and leave generational wealth to your children's children and not just yourself.
My baby.
It's not enough for you to have it.
My baby.
And lose it all when you die.
You know what? Listen, like, look how good God is. We've been talking about different things, and with you traveling and me kind of feeling bum out, like under the weather, tired, but yet and still we was able to come together, on this wonderful Wednesday, talking about wealth, and look at the turnout. Like, to me, I felt like sometimes timing is everything. And even right now is sometimes the best time is the time that's not, we know Wednesday. And to me, it seemed like opposed to going early, it seemed like this right here was perfect. So like I want to shout out to everybody that took the time out and join us. Hopefully you've been very, very informative, because what the sense of us having a platform when you don't have the knowledge to share it? We got knowledge. This young lady right here is like unbelievable. It's like I've been following, I stumbled upon Shateka probably about 7, 8 years ago. And she always seemed to amaze me. And the difference right now where it's like the way she is right here, as you see on the screen, sometimes you see people on screen, then you see them in real life, totally different. No, she is who she is. A ball of fire, a ball of energy. She's a woman of God, and right now she mean what she say, and she say what she mean. And she's really like want to help people, I'm saying, to retire before they expire and help them make the right decision. And I appreciate that. I truly, truly appreciate that.
Thank you for vouching for me, Brian. Brian, it's been incredible. I really appreciate you sharing your platform with me tonight. I don't take it lightly. My goal really is to help people. If you go to generationalwealthsymposium.com, you can see something I did in 2019. I did a whole conference here in Baltimore where I'm currently at. And it was free, absolutely free. And it was because I really wanted to see the people win in wealth. That's been my little model, to help people win in wealth. And if you go to Clubhouse, you see me on there sometimes. On Clubhouse, you have about 2,000 people as a part of the organization there. On Clubhouse, it's called the Winning in Wealth Club. And we have a lot of different little things going on there as well. If you're on Clubhouse, if not, no worries. But you can be on my email, VIP. That way we can stay in touch. Or you can see me on Instagram. Just go to Shateka Husser on Instagram. I'm on there as well. I'm not really on Facebook, but I'm on Facebook. That makes sense. I'm on there, but I'm not really on there because I don't have time to engage with people like that in terms of like comments all the time. So Instagram allows me to be able to just post a picture or something and, talk about the business a little bit and keep it moving. So it doesn't take up a whole lot of my time. That makes sense. So, because I am trying to serve people as much as possible. So thank you all for the time. I thank you, Brian, for this opportunity. And you said that tonight, did we have a better turnout in terms of the live?
I think so. As far as right now, is I've seen
we're testing out the times. We want to make sure we're coming on at a time
where that people is more suitable, that just get home, relax, and winding down for the night or getting ready for bed. And like I say, I kind of like the turnout. I kind of was like monitoring the numbers. And like, to me, I think I saw like the highest number as far as this evening. And, even right now, like you say, when you call me, I just got the shower, just woke up and everything. But I like it. And then the interaction, looking at all the interaction, to me, that's all, unbelievable. So.
Yeah. God bless you too, Eli Dent. Yes, absolutely. Love the show, Roy. We see that. Let's see what else. Okay. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. Somebody asked about stocks. Again, don't want to give stock advice on here. And that's actually that's more of a financial advisor question as well. But we still don't want to do any type of financial advising on here. When it comes to that, there's some liabilities around that. So I apologize. But I'll just say that, follow Wall Street Trapper. He's on Instagram. I think he's a great guy. He has a course out there too for stocks if you're looking for that, because he's literally like Brian, like he did time for a lot of different things, but he came out here and he is killing it in the stock game, really. African American. So I'm really, really proud of him. You know Wall Street Trapper, Brian?
No, I don't. I've seen it pop up, but even with the stock market, because when I was away, I was into the stock market real heavy because you got time. At one point in time, I used to tell you every symbol that went across from NASDAQ, AMAC, New York Stock Exchange. And like right now, like I remember like having a hell of a portfolio being away. And, the difference is everybody don't understand the best thing to be diversified. You got to spread it out. But to me, like what happened is I got greedy. I was there with another gangster, Anthony Queso, Gas Pipe. And like right now he gave me some inside trading. And, here it is. You're supposed to you're in jail, put all that stuff beside. But no, he telling me certain things and everything he telling me was working. And he kept telling me. And I started liquidating and buying to this one company and kept doing what he's saying. Talking about it was going to split and they're going to hit this number. Everything he said was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, the United States government got that, they got the mob was like, rigging the stock. And I lost everything. You talk, my man. Look, that was it. It's like, hey, man, woo. So, yeah, you got to do it right the first time.
All right. Well, I think that's all the questions. Making my way up. That's true. Haley J Vision. It's so important to have the right type of and she said true, because half the people, companies that file on your behalf don't even get your back up the appropriate or maximum. And I'm not gonna put a number, I'll just say I went from 4 figures to 5 figures when I changed the person that was doing my taxes. And I should have, yeah. So in terms of getting money back, right? Because they know what they're doing. I have a CPA who happens to be Jew here in Baltimore, and he got way more money than somebody that was, in another ethnicity. So it does matter where you put your money. It does, who's actually going to be doing your taxes, I should say. So you want to vet these people out that are doing your taxes. And if you are just one of these local, I don't know if I should say the name of the company, but y'all know the one that's doing everybody's taxes. If you're going to them, probably not a good place to be, because it's just a one size fit all type thing. It's not really going to be people that specialize in doing taxes, if that makes sense. So a CPA, they normally do better in terms of getting you more money back. A CPA, but you do have tax advisors that are just as good and competent as a CPA. But CPA is what I recommend. Certified public accountant. All right, so I think we answered every question. Now you better put it on there now, because we're about to go.
Now it's time to say goodbye to all our lovely friends. MIC, see you real soon now.
Thank you, JK. Thanks for the compliment. All right, so we're done. We'll be back at some point on Wednesday. For some reason, we can't. But Brian, we're gonna be live next week, or what are we gonna do next week?
Listen, listen. You lead, I follow.
Don't put it on me.
You lead, I follow. Listen, you know me. Listen, I'm a simple Simon country boy.
Okay, we'll be back next week, and the time is to be determined. Our goal is to get on at 7, but we may be on late like we are tonight, because things do happen.
And things do happen.
Just tired, and we got to take a nap and come back. But yeah, thank you guys for joining in. Yeah, I understand, Joy. I understand. All right, well, I'm done, Brian. Everybody has my information is at the bottom. If you want to contact me, I'm here. All right. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful Wednesday evening. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year's.